Ladies and gentlemen, the headline reads, "On being the worst person in the world," and the body reads, "Failure is impossible, and you can't do better than that. This is as good as it gets, and you can't do better than that, no matter how hard you don't try even once." Let us begin. We begin where all confessions end, beneath a sign hung not by God nor devil nor judge, but by the accused himself. On being the worst person in the world, it reads, and we are drawn in not by shame nor curiosity, but by a strange gravitational pull, a sardonic, ironclad wisdom that dares us to take the joke seriously. What is this fragment, then, if not a joke told by a ghost to the living? Let us begin at the top. Failure is impossible. Here we find ourselves already misled if we take the sentence at face value. For in a world where failure is impossible, achievement too becomes meaningless. The bar is dropped, the contest annulled. But read more darkly. This line does not eliminate failure, it consecrates it. It renders failure so constant, so inevitable, that it becomes unremarkable. As in, you cannot fail because there is no standard left. There are no rules. The floor has fallen out. Or even more bleak, you are so bad, so ruinously ineffective, that even failure itself has abandoned you as a category. You are beneath measurement. You can't fail. You are failure. But hold that. Don't tighten the noose too quickly. There is a second route. Suppose instead it is a liberation. Failure is impossible could be the first true gospel of the anti-achiever. A sacred pardon issued from the higher court. You do not need to do more. You cannot do more. You are done. This is a kind of death, yes, but also a kind of peace. Then comes the next beat, like the turning of a page in a sad and sacred book, and you can't do better than that. Twice this line appears, like a glitch in the mirror, once standing above the next, then again after the intervening declaration, "This is as good as it gets." What begins to form here is a looping structure, a recursive resignation dressed up as law. Each clause turns inward, not building, but circling, like a broken hymn echoing inside a steel cathedral. You can't do better than that. Is this praise, a backhanded compliment, or a cruel joke? Well, it depends on the voice. That's the secret of this entire fragment. Read it in the voice of a father, and it breaks your heart. Read it in the voice of a bureaucrat, and it becomes a closing file. Read it in the voice of the inner critic, and it cuts like razors made of silk. Let us consider the tone. These lines, "This is as good as it gets," and "You can't do better than that," they sound final, like a verdict, but also like a dare. They draw a box around the subject, you, the worst person in the world, and say, "Stay here, don't move. The ceiling is low, the floor is cracked, but this is your room." Yet it is not wholly cruel. There is a strange warmth in the delivery, something like sarcasm, but gentler, something like love, but exhausted. It's as if the speaker, whoever he is, has come to the end of his rope, not in anger, but in bitter surrender. He cannot hate the subject anymore. He cannot even motivate them. He can only announce what already is. And then comes the final refrain, "No matter how hard you don't try even once." It is here that the philosophical payload detonates, for this line is a gem of inversion, a perfect twist of the dagger. No matter how hard you don't try, let us marvel at that construction. It is oxymoron, double negative, satire, and scripture, all in one breath, a condemnation of apathy, so artfully phrased that it doubles back on itself, becoming a kind of beatitude. No matter how hard you don't try implies effort in not trying, and not merely once, but with relentless consistency. This is what I call the effort of sabotage, the disciplined decline, the meticulous avoidance of action. This is not the laziness of the careless, but the diligence of the broken-hearted. To not try even once takes work, takes commitment, takes, yes, faith, faith that trying is worse than failing. Faith that hope is more dangerous than despair. So who is this person? The worst person in the world? It is not the monster, not the tyrant, not the murderer. No, it is something far more tragic, the one who knew better and refused anyway, the one who could have, but by some terrible geometry of fear and shame didn't, the one who believed so fully in their own failure that they never got out of bed, the one who weaponized self-contempt so thoroughly, so artfully, that it turned to Scripture. That is who this poem is for. That is who this voice speaks to. And now we must ask, who is doing the speaking? Is it God? No, too flippant. Is it the devil? No, too subtle. Is it the self? Yes, but only a part of the self. The resigned self, the voice you hear when you've locked your door and drawn the curtains and stared at the spot on the wall where you once imagined a better life would appear. This is the voice of the weary cynic, the self-anointed prophet of failure. And yet, there's a rhythm to it, a grace, a beauty even, in the compression of its despair. Why? Because it tells the truth. It tells the truth not about the world, but about the inside of a particular room in the soul, a room that many of us visit, a room where lights flicker and mirrors lie, and hope is a joke told by the strong to the weak. But this fragment, paradoxically, is a map. It says, this room exists, and that is its power. For once something is named, it is not all-powerful. Once a trap is marked on a map, escape becomes thinkable. So I say again, this is not a nihilist song, it is a survivor's record, a document from the far edge of the human mind, where self-contempt becomes art, where despair, like light through a cracked window, takes shape in language. And what does the philosopher say? He says this, that even this voice, the one that says you can't do better than that, is still a voice. And where there is voice, there is self. And where there is self, there is contradiction. And where there is contradiction, there is a chance that the same tongue which damns might also bless, a chance that the same mind which crafts despair might, on some distant morning, compose a hymn, a chance that the worst person in the world is not the end of the story, but the one who kept the story from ending. For when all effort is gone, and all faith is burned away, and even hope has stopped returning your calls, what remains? The ability to speak. And when we speak, even bitterly, even blindly, we are not yet gone. We are only waiting, and the waiting, that too can change. Let this be known then, not as a death rattle, but as a transmission from the borderlands, a clever, stinging, sorrowful verse, but not without wisdom, not without form, not without beauty. For in the end, failure is impossible, and you can't do better than that. So sit a while, and consider what it might mean to still be here,